May I request all to kindly rename yourself with your official name? Thank you. I hope I'm clearly audible. Some thumbs ups. May I request for a feedback? Yeah, thank you, Shahid. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning to all of you.
Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning, Dr. Gopalia. Good morning,
Good morning, everyone.
chief guest and other members.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome to all. Yeah.
So a small feedback, since we have used the license Zoom, so we were not aware of how to enable the co-host facility. We did that now, but since we have already started the meeting, so it cannot be changed now. So I will keep on making the host one by one. The moment
No, I think that's good.
making the host.
Less confusion. Yes,
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
anyway good.
Exactly. I will do that. And after this meeting, I will check it once again.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sir has joined us.
Oh,
Sir has
great.
joined us.
Yeah.
A very good morning, sir. I welcome Dr. A. Sivathanu Pillai, sir, to this inaugural ceremony of Atal FDP. So may I request you to kindly come on this screen? That will be good for all of us to see you, sir.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome, sir. Nice to meet you again, even if it is online after nearly 5 years.
Nice to
Good
have
morning,
you,
sir.
Namaskar.
Welcome. Yeah, namaskar. Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, if you allow, shall we start the program now, sir?
Yeah, I think let us start. I mean, we what small inauguration process before it gets over, everybody would have joined, and we'll be ready for professors' talk.
Exactly. I will do that, sir. A very good morning to one and all present here. I welcome you to the AICT's Atal Academy sponsored faculty development program on leadership and excellence. A need in the era of disruptive transformation. It will be a 5-day event from today onwards till Friday. And we have at present 166 participations, though I got a few phone calls last evening as well to add more. But at present, we have 166 on roll. Across the India, we have participation starting from deans, director, HODs to the PG and PhD scholars as well. So we have a wide spectrum of participant here. And we are honored to have Dr. A. Sivathanu Pillai, sir, Padma Vibhushan as the chief guest of this inaugural ceremony. And we are also having the guest of honor, Professor B.S. Satyanarayan, sir, our Vice Chancellor, CG Odisha. We also have Professor Priyadarshi Kango, sir, Dean Engineering, CG Odisha. I also welcome all the HODs, deans, faculty members, and other office bearers of CG Odisha, along with all the participants across the board for this inaugural ceremony here. So before I go ahead with this, a brief introduction to our Vice Chancellor, sir, who will be addressing the audience. Sir, if you allow us, I know if you can give me 2 minutes for that. Sir is a PhD in electrical engineering from Cambridge. He has 35 years of experience working in industry, R&D institutions, policy planning, academia in India, Japan, UK, working with global partners including USA, Germany, Singapore, European Union, Russia, and China. He was the founder, vice chancellor of BML Munjal University, Gurgaon, CEO and vice principal of RVC VTU Bangalore, advisor, Environment Science and Technology Office, US Embassy, US Government Delhi, Deputy Director, Professor, and I can keep on counting it, it's endless. So we are going to have you, sir, in the next session as well, and we will have a longer span to hear you. I would welcome you to this, guys, to just start.
Good morning, and first of all, welcome to everyone. First of all, I thank Professor Gopali has already mentioned, but still, I would like to thank Professor Dr. Sivathanu Pillai, who had headed our defense organizations, also MD of BrahMos. I'm sure he will be formally introduced, but I can say that whether hearing him in academic platforms or electronic and IESA platforms, defense technology platforms to, FICCI or NITI Aayog, I have found him every time inspiring and educating. And we are talking here about leadership and excellence. The whole world is looking at India, as we have said, in at least my colleagues would have heard me say many times, in the global value chain. Today, India is number one in every aspect, literally. I mean, maybe somebody else might occasionally figure in one aspect as one or a step ahead, but the sheer size and number and volume and the diversity that we offer, we truly are number one in many and whole global value chain in many domains. But all that can happen in this era of knowledge economy through leadership in knowledge domain. And we as academics have to take some serious responsibility. I am sure we all know, I mean, say for the last 75 years, whether we like it or not, we have to be honest to say that our progress has been in spite of us. I mean, the industry doesn't care about our research. They don't want to come and talk to us. I mean, the government doesn't care. The industry academic forum is a non-existent, only occasional meetings. Any policy planning, only the industry and the professional forums and government works together. I mean, otherwise also the DRDO, ISRO, I mean, our CSR labs, DBT, they also sort of work standalone. Whereas if I were in US, all of them would have worked together. For all this to happen, we cannot as academics blame anyone. The onus is on us, the academics, in spite of whatever grouse or say distress or say problems, whether it could be from the management, whether I say it's the quality of students, whether I say industry doesn't want me. See, knowledge is a key enabler. They are all in the business of survival. If there is one job which is more stable, it is academic, if I perform. And so if the academic cannot set a leadership process in knowledge creation, comprehension, and dissemination, whether it is product, process, service, nobody else can, and it is happening in every other part of the world. I will not take too much of the time. I'm sure Professor Shivadana Pillai, who has, from the time of with Dr. Kalam, he has been involved in many strategy planning, innovation, and industry process development. So I'll not talk about that. Let us hear and learn from him. But the key point I want to reiterate is that the onus is on us without blaming anyone. From whatever resource we have, how do we leapfrog? And that has to be shown with a leadership ability. And therefore, I am very happy that our colleagues in management, mechanical engineering, management, and others have joined together and proposed this. And AICT has funded this opportunity. And so we have this program today. And I'm sure if the way the program has been scheduled, we have a huge mix of industry, academic, R&D, and consultants, and also trainers, all of them delivering talks about leadership. And so we may or may not adapt everything, but even if we can adapt one or two of these inputs from such experts, I'm absolutely sure because the amount of opportunity that the world is offering us, I mean, it's literally, for us, see, an oyster only needs a grain of sand to create a pearl. And so it's up to us to truly make use of this opportunity. So once again, I thank my own colleagues for organizing and all the experts, directors, deans, faculty, whoever has joined here. And again, I want to reiterate this point. See, even when people like Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King, when they all of them started, they were not leaders. They still did not honestly have a position, but they were able to influence so many people. And we are, each of us, if nowhere, at least in our class, we are the leader when we are standing there. So we have a unique opportunity in this, as I said, dynamic, changing world or VUCA world or whatever you want to call it. So let us make use of this opportunity, learn from the experts, and truly see that we cumulatively deliver whatever that is needed to make sure India once again becomes a global leader as it was over thousands of years and just lost it for a sheer 250 to 300 years. Welcome, everybody. And once again, thanks to my colleagues for giving me an opportunity to share some of my points. I hand it over to Dr. Gopalia. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's always inspiring to hear you, sir. Thanks a lot. So now I would formally introduce our chief guest to all of us. Dr. A. Shivadana Pillai, Padma Vibhushan, is with us as a chief guest for this inaugural ceremony. A PhD designs Honorary Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, IIT Delhi. He is a distinguished scientist, former Chief Controller, Research and Development Wing, DRDO, founder, CEO, and MD, BrahMos Aerospace. Sir has joined IIT Delhi in 2015. He worked for ISRO and DRDO for more than 4 decades. He had an opportunity to work with Professor Vikram Sarabhai, Satish Dhawan, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. You name the stalwart, he has an opportunity to work with him, and which made him a technology leader in the field of launching vehicle and guided missiles, multidisciplinary project, institution building, advanced system engineering. His contribution to the successful development of SLV-3 as a core team member in the rocket motor development and evaluation of PSLV configuration for ISRO from 1969 to 1986 have been remarkable. He is a recipient of all the prestigious of the award. We have already highlighted Padma Vibhushan. He also has Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, Order of Friendship by Government of Russia Federation, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Award, DRDO Technology Leadership Award, Lokmanya Tilak Award, Dr. Y. Nayad Memorial Award, Raja Ram Mohan Puraskar, Performance Excellence Award of DRDO, IG Bhubnov Medal, OISC Award, Dr. Revitson Frame Award, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai Research Award, DRDO Scientist of the Year Award, you name. So it's an honor to have you, sir. And I would be making you the co-host. If you would like to share something with us by sharing the screen, we will be quite happy with that, sir.
So I will share the screen now.
Yes, sir. Sir, just give me a second, sir. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Respected Professor Satyanarayana, Honorable Vice Chancellor, very dynamic person, and he has established himself as one of the leaders in education. Distinguished professors, deans from many universities, faculty members, participants of the faculty development program, students, industrialists who have participated in this virtual meeting, distinguished guests, friends. I am indeed delighted when Professor Satyanarayana asked me to talk in this forum. Though it was a very short notice, I thought I should virtually come in place. You know, I was very happy when we talk about the faculty development program. I am attaching more importance to faculty. If a university has to be very good, good name it has to get, the faculty is very, very important. Students are attracted by the best faculty. Those days when we were students, I can tell you the faculties were superb. On all the colleges, I could see the university professors come in full style, full suit, totally they come to office and then they talk and very great people. But nowadays that there is a slight degradation in the faculty. That is why this faculty development program is very much required to understand the overall scenario, particularly when the technology is moving. The university is named after Sir C. Raman. It's a very great thing, a Nobel laureate. Not only Nobel laureate, he was a great teacher. I would like to tell one incident of Sir C. Raman. He was, after getting his Nobel Prize, he was awarded Bharat Ratna by the government of India. And Dr. Rajendra Prasad wrote a letter to him that we are honoring you, please come on such and such a date to receive the Bharat Ratna. So politely, Sir C. Raman replied, that is the day I am, guiding my students for facing the Viva for his, to presenting his thesis. And as a teacher, it is my responsibility to take care of my students. So I will not be able to come to receive Bharat Ratna. He said that. See, even though Bharat Ratna is very big and it's a very big thing, and that too in Rashtrapati Bhavan, a big arrangement was made only for him. He said that my student is more important than that. So these are the teachers, you see, we learn a lesson from Sir C.V. Raman, and this university is a global university. It must come out globally, a very unique university for the time to come. So you need a vision, you need a good faculty, good leadership, and, and moreover, good students to come. They should get employment. All these things should be seen. And in the ranking, it should be much better. It should come in the, it should compete with IITs and other big universities. So I wish all success to this university. It's a very, very young university. It should be very successful. Now I thought I will talk about innovation, because any university, if it has to be very successful, you need innovation. So how do we build an innovation ecosystem for institutional excellence? This is a title I have chosen to talk to you. And, I will have to tell some examples to tell the point, because innovation is not a very simple thing. How it can happen in a place like India, as Professor Satyanarayana said, India is you see India as a great nation today. We have got everything. We are a knowledge society. So there are many opportunities for growth. Let us see that what he told. He already told that we were a great nation earlier. So if you look at 5,000 years before, we were the leaders of the world in civilization, in science, in technology, everything we were leading. And we were giving the world all the scientific thoughts and knowledge. And people got jealousy of our nation. The Europeans started invasion. And the invasion brought the prosperity down. You can see the slope of the prosperity came down to very minimum, because we didn't participate in the Industrial Revolution, which was the economical point, and population increased. Our agricultural products became low. So from that, we started thinking about progress. The economic revival in 91 made a big change. And then we gave a vision 2020 to develop. And there was a thrust for the industry growth. And the information age came and helped us to get employment to our young people. So slowly you see that agriculture also slowly built up because of the Green Revolution. Industry came and information age came. So our economy started building up. We reached a growth rate of nearly 10%. Very well, we got it. But now there's a dip, but it will come again. The COVID has created a lot of problem for our economical situation, but our country has not suffered much in the economy. It will come up. And we will become developed nation in course of time. We have missed the 2020, but we will not miss the 2030. We will not miss. We will be the lead country in the world with knowledge and technology. This is what, because we've got 750 million youth. If we can create youth with skill set, then our country will be the best country in the world. But are we progressing really? Are we getting a clue that our country can be better? If you see that revolutions, Green Revolution, which is, we were in a very situation where poverty took away lives of many people. But today, we are producing more than 300 million tons of grains we are making. And we are the second in the world in wheat production and rice production. We are the largest producer of milk in the world. And we are generating power. Now we have gone into the green power and we are moving. Now power is meeting our requirement, but still we have to do a lot. And then the nuclear, we are trying to generate more. Our 6,780 megawatt we are producing, but we are going for 25,000 megawatt in another 10 years. And then because the 12 reactors are going to come. And the Green Revolution 2, we are going for precision farming, which will lead to 400 million tons, though there is a reduction in the farming land, but we are going to increase our production to 400 million tons in the Green Revolution 2. And the technology like space technology is going to be used for the farming. So this is a growth we are doing that. And then communication, supercomputer was refused to us, but today we have got very good supercomputers with us now so this is the supercomputer, and then we are now making petaflop computers. IT and ITS, $220 billion we are making a year. And pharma, we are doing very well, and we are one of the leaders in pharma now. We may be ranking 4th, but we have got a very good chance to take a lead in the pharma. Then defense, you see, nuclear, submarine, combat aircraft, and then strategic missiles and all we have done. And the space, we are one of the top people in the space program with the operational systems, and then looking at the Moon and Mars and hypersonic, we are going a big way in the future. So there is a trend, if you see that, what I'm saying, when we have declared missions, there's a trend in our progress. And the science and technology in India, when the growth, when you see, the contribution, significant contribution has come from universities. I would like to tell you, when I say Agni is flying, Agni is not just flying. There's universities are behind that Agni. So like that, universities have Green Revolution, university has contributed, milk production, increase in the production, universities have contributed, and communication, the computer, and now we are looking at the quantum computing. All these things, universities are doing many contribution. Particularly, I will tell you in missile program where I was deeply involved, there's a big contribution from more than 200 institutions. Otherwise, we would not handle the MTCR. There was a missile controlled regime for us. Nobody gave technology, but we have developed technology only with the universities. So universities can do many things to develop our country. So this is the status where universities have made a big remarkable contribution into this. Now, if you take very specifically some strategic things, you take nuclear science. The Atal, name of Atal you used for the faculty development program. Atal is a very big contributor along with Dr. Kalam and Chidambaram for doing the nuclear test. But at the same time, you see the policy of Atal Bihari Vajpayee is the no first use. See, it's a very bold statement from a country. We will not use it. No use against non-nuclear countries. And we will keep only minimum credible to protect our nation. So such a great country we have got, and we have progressed very much. This is a completely indigenous technology we have developed because nobody will give the technology for nuclear. We have done it. Now our main thing is how to use the thorium which is available in India. 1/4 of the world thorium reserves are available in India. So it's a huge quantity available. So we are going to use thorium. So for that, the technology has been developed in Kalpakkam, and now they are having the reactor, which is making use of thorium to produce power, but it will have to go through some more process by which we will complete that. It is not only thorium, we have to master the fusion technology. What we have got is the fission technology. Now we have to look at the fusion technology. For that, we have got a program in the world. All 7 nations have joined together to develop the fusion energy. A 500 megawatt plant is being established in France by a consortium. And we are contributing this shell, what you are seeing, the big shell, the huge shell, it's called a cryostat, is made by us and by India, and we have given, and all the vacuum cells, cryo lines and all we have made. So our contribution is more than 10% for realizing the reactor. So 2025, the reactor, the tokamak will go critical. So 2025 is a very critical time by which you will have the fusion technology with us. So 2030, our idea is to use fusion technology for harnessing the helium-3 from moon and use it. See, now presently uranium we are using, thorium will be using, that is all fission technology. Helium-3, which is a very good material for producing energy, it is a non-radioactive, and it can only go as a fusion. So once the fusion energy is developed in India, you need helium-3 for using it to generate power. Helium-3, 1 gram is equal to 100 gram of uranium. So 100 times it will generate the power. So we need to bring. So we are planning to go slowly in the space program. Finally, we want to land here to have a factory so that we can have the helium-3 harness from the regolith and then bring it to the country and use it in the reactor. Also, there is an advantage of Moon because it is has got only 1/6 of the the Earth's gravity. So launch vehicle will be very similar if you can launch from Moon. So we are planning to, by 2040, you will be having a launch pad operating from the Moon along with the factory. This is the plan. So that means you need a big space program. So the visionary who came said, we were the first people to make the rockets in the whole world. We were the first people. And Chinese used only gunpowder to do fire arrows. We made the first rocket to be used in the war. That is that to Karnataka is the place where the Srirangapatna, the war rocket was used and we defeated the British. So after a long gap, Sarabhai came and he started the space program in Tumba. Tumba is at the bottom of our country near Trivandrum, which is the only place where the magnetic equator is passing through. So because of the equilibrium, we need to go for that place to understand the whole atmosphere. So the whole world was interested in Tumba. Tumba became a very important place in the whole world. It was dedicated to the United Nations and sounding rockets were launched from there. And this is the place where the whole program started in a church. And Sarabhai thought that while we are doing sounding rocket, he brought satellites and then illuminated many places, many villages, and brought communication to them. So he started talking about the advantages of space program and gave a vision to do SLV and communication satellites. And he said India will be second to none in using advanced technologies for solving problems of common man. So he gave a 10-year profile. This is the area where I worked with him to see that our future of country becomes very great. So they started with the who launched the SLV-3 and made India a member of the Space Club. SLV-3 was the first major program of our country. It's a very complex and indigenously developed. 18th July 1980, India became the Space Club member. But here the leadership is very important because we had a plan to launch 79. We launched in 79 August, 10th August, but the first flight was a failure. So the failure should not make us to sleep. Failures, we have to face the failure, analyze, and then we have to go successful. So that's what has been done. And within a year, the success came with that. And then we never looked back. Professor Satish Dhawan, he built the institution with mission-driven programs, systems approach, strong leadership, nobility in organization development, culture. He brought in a culture. What ISRO is today is because of these two people. A visionary who thought that the space program should come for solving problems for people, and the man who developed the whole organization institution. He built as a chairman and streamlined everything. Today, if ISRO is following the procedure, everything is all from what Professor Dhawan did. So these are the two leaders who developed the space program. Today, we are globally committed to space power. We have got cost-effective launch systems. Our launch vehicle PSLV is demanded by many people in the world. More than 350 foreign satellites we have launched. In one PSLV, we launched 104 satellites. All these things show that we have taken leadership in the space program. And we have got a very big launch vehicle called the PSLV Mark III. And we have now done the Chandrayaan program, but in Chandrayaan 2, we could not succeed fully. but we will go now. Chandrayaan-3 is getting ready to be launched. Mars, our satellite is still working around Mars. And we are going for Mars, the second program, second satellite also, we are planning to do that. And in the meantime, we want to send the satellite to Venus and also to study the sun. So many programs are coming up with the space, and we have the remote sensing satellites and communication satellites in operation. So this is the program now from the GSLV Mark III. What we have, we are now going for the heavy lift launch vehicle, which will put more than 6 tons in the transfer orbit. And then there's a future vehicle. These are all manned space program we are planning. So the human space program, now we have done all the trials of the developing the module, which can carry 2 to 3 astronauts. 3 astronauts, this module has been tested. It has been tested for re-entry, recovery. All those tests have been completed. The escape system for the astronaut has also been tested. So we are in the final stage, except the full life support system is to be ready. And in the meantime, we have gone for this big cryogenic stage and also a semi-cryogenic stage technology we have developed, which will lead us to bigger launch vehicles. So space program, now there's no looking back. We are now one of the 4 countries who are leading in the world, USA, Russia, China, and India. These 4 are distinctly different today. We look at the war theater. The war theater was earlier human oriented. Then we introduced the first weapon in the human-centric warfare. Then First World War, Second World War has seen many platforms. Then the guided missile came from Hitler. In the Second World War, they used 5,000 missiles against the British. And then we have got the military satellite, bomber, cruise missiles, nuclear tests. All those things came during the Cold War period. And at the end of the Cold War, we have got the world's best cruise missile also we have got. And if the future war is going to be very intelligent and autonomous, it will be next network centric with the AI and IoT, and war will be in space, war will be with high power microwaves and electronic warfare, missile to missile. And then you have got the underwater submarine to submarine, nuclear submarine. So interoperability, standoff precision strike weapons, sensor networking and situation awareness, stealth technology, cyber warfare. These are the things which are going to dominate in the future war. So while this type of thinking has come, what Dr. Kalam thought that we should have strength with us. See, unless you have got nuclear weapon, but you have to deliver the nuclear weapon not through the planes, which is human oriented, it should be non-human, that is missile. So why the 5 nations in the Security Council, they are members? Because they have got intercontinental ballistic missile and nuclear weapons. So we should also have a very big missile. We should have. That was his idea. So 83 launched the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program with a theme that strength respects strength. We should demonstrate our strength. So, but we had a constraint that we were 30 to 40 years behind the developed nations. MTCR has come, Missile Technology Control Regime. No country is going to help us. User also is changing his war strategy depending on the situation. Industry was in a very poor state in 83. All these things are constraints. But he said, no, don't worry about the constraints. Let us make missile which will be contemporary to the developed nations when we complete. And we should use futuristic technologies which is not thought about by the developed nations. We should use newer concepts. This is his directive. We have to do that with in networking with institutions. This is what I said. The university's contributions are great, and your university also can do a great contribution to our future technologies. And then we launched these 4 missiles: surface-to-surface missile, Prithvi, then Agni is a long-range anti-tank missile, NOG, multi-target engagement, the Akash. War is in Akash because it will face all the aircraft which is coming for bombing. Multiple aircrafts can handle multiple missiles will go and engage. That's why it is called Akash. Trishul has got 3 rolls. That's why it's called Trishul. So these missiles, when we launched, I will tell 1 or 2 examples. See, when the ballistic missile was designed by the whole world, they have designed in a ballistic trajectory. Ballistic trajectory means parabolic trajectory. All these missiles go from a launch point to target point in a ballistic trajectory. That is parabolic trajectory. Only our missile goes in a maneuverable trajectory. Maneuverable means in pitch and yaw. So from Bhubaneswar, you want to, Bhubaneswar is our active place. Orissa is our theater of war place where we have come many times to do all the launches. So the, sorry. So the launch from launch point to the target point, suppose for Bhubaneswar to Bombay, you want to send a missile, but it will be going towards Chennai. It will be going towards Bangalore, going towards like that, it goes, it deceives the enemy who is monitoring through the satellite or this one. So he will not be able to know till it reaches its target point. He will not know where this missile is going to be. So that is why our missile has become very famous. First time in the world, a maneuverable trajectory ballistic missile has been used. This is how we can overtake. The Americans don't have, all developed countries don't have such a concept of this one. So thinking different is very important in leadership. So that is what I would like to highlight to you. So you should always think different. Then multiple warheads. You can have different types of warheads depending on the situation at the war theater. You can change it. So this is also a new concept. Then accuracy. Accuracy, we see we have got only the sensors which are not accurate. Good sensors will not be given to us by the Americans or by the French people. So we used only the core sensors. Sensor means gyro, accelerometer, this type of sensors which are required to know the position of the missile to go to that target point. So they will give very inaccurate data. So 4 young people came from the university and they gave a solution. Innovation from 4 young people who came and they said that we will find a solution to this. So they calibrated these sensors. They did error modeling. They did the flight test in a simulator and then run the program, then found out what is the error. Then they compensated the error with the software and injected the software into the hardware. It's the first time software is injected into the hardware, and that's the innovation. And then they did the simulation. We had to change the software for adopting that. So we went to Jadavpur University. They have made the maneuverable trajectory adopting to this calibration. And then 300 kilometer missile, the maximum 300 meter only the error can be there, but we got 69 meters. And we improved that. Now we get only 10 meters. So even without any big sensor, big technology, also we will be able to do it, adopt it using software. So that's our strength. So it can be done. So we have to always find the substitution. What is the alternative? And you should young minds. The professors, when we are teaching, you think that today's students are different. They have got a better knowledge, not like us. They have got exposure to many new things. So you should also change your way of teaching to adapt yourself to the need. And with the thing that the students are all educated people like that. Okay. So then you have got the Agni, which is the core competency of space, nuclear, defense, all combined. We have got a program from 5 Agni missiles are there.
3, 2, 1, now, 1, 2.
So this is 5,000 kilometer range missile, what you have just seen. And, we have the single stage missile, 700 kilometer covering the western region, and 5,000 kilometers is covering this region. So we have got them all fitted with nuclear payload. Any time, nobody will wag the tail. They may say something in the border, but nothing will come. War will not come because they know our power. So for that also, there's one innovation was needed. When we were designing the re-entry, Kalpana Chawla died because of during the re-entry of the space shuttle, because of the failure of the thermal protection system. So we wanted to be very, very clear. So our thermal protection system should be carbon-carbon structural material, which can withstand very high load as well as the high temperature of 3000 degrees centigrade during the re-entry. Also the shape is very important, what we are having the shape. So this shape, multiple designs came, but we have to choose the shape. So we have to adopt only software method. We don't have the facilities. So I didn't have the facilities. So we have to go for the computational fluid dynamics software. We have to use the Euler software, which was available with the ordinary computer. And finally, we found each iteration was taking 9 days. So, but that we cannot do. There are hundreds of 100,000 grid points are there in one, and there are hundreds of shapes. So it will be lifelong we will be doing. So we wanted a supercomputer, and Dr. Kalam went to Washington to negotiate with the US Defense Secretary. US Defense Secretary gave lunch to him and told, I can give you dinner, not computer. So he came back and then he said that we are helpless, but we have to develop. So 14 people, young minds take challenges, 14 people, just drawn from the universities. They have developed the parallel processor in 24 months. And using a new software developed by Indians of Science, we could, from 9 days, we could come to 5 minutes for each iteration. So this is a fantastic development done by the young people, the 14 people, and also from the Indian Institute of Science. And the whole thermal analysis was done by IIT Chennai, Madras. So like this, there are so many critical technologies under the MTCR, but we wanted to face it. The big people thought that we will not be able to develop the missiles, but not only we developed the technologies, we developed bigger missiles, we have developed to their astonishing, feeling. The re-entry technology, sensor, the image processing, seeking system, supercomputer, super components for electronic warfare systems, facilities for the devices, and radars, the multi-target engaging radars, and then ceramics, then underwater hydrophones, propulsion systems. Like that, we have developed many systems, and technology denied is technology gained. So if they have denied technology, we are thankful to them. We have all the technologies today. So all the technologies are also useful for the spin-off. We are supporting the people, medical and industries. So this is one example is this flow reaction orthosis lightweight caliper used for 55,000 people. Mostly for Orissa people, we use this. Because our people, there were a number of people who had problem in Orissa. So we use this. Conventional caliper is 3 kilogram. This is only 300 gram. And it is very cheap. So 55,000 children we fitted with this one. And then given the technology to Olympco, the welfare ministry. So like this, there are many projects. So we also have got defense in the Orissa coast we are doing. We have got an island called Wheeler Island in Orissa. And now it is called Dr. Abdul Kalam Island. That island is our base for Agni launch, because we need a secluded place, a safe place. And now we do a launch from the Balasur and then engage from the Wheeler Island, the targets. So we have proved the two-stage defense system. If there's a nuclear missile coming, we know what are the missiles which can come. We can engage at 100-kilometer altitude with the 2 missiles to defeat it. In case it escapes, then 3 missiles go at 25 kilometer and they engage them. So that's up to 15 kilometer we have got method to engage them and destroy those nuclear warhead, which will not be operated in 15 kilometer. It will operate only here. So before that we can eliminate them. So we have the technology. And we also have the technology to engage our missile to hit satellite. If satellite is monitoring a satellite is having laser weapon, we have to destroy that satellite. So we have proved the technology to send a missile and hit the satellite, say 300 kilometers and above. So with all these things, we thought that we looked at the war pattern in 91 Gulf War, where Saddam Hussein was very strongly opposing the US with his defense system. He had a very good defense system, air defense system. If the US allied forces, if they are engaged in the bombing system, he would have defeated them with his anti-air missiles. But what they did was, they sent from the Arabian Sea, Persian Gulf, cruise missiles, quietly cruise missiles came, and they engaged all these radars have been destroyed first. So nearly 1,000 missiles were used by the Allied forces to Tomahawk was the missile to defeat all the facilities. Then they bombarded. So deployment of cruise missiles crippled the enemy and resulted in minimal loss to the Allied forces. So we thought we should have used cruise missiles. Cruise missiles in the world, they are subsonic. The speed is less than the speed of sound. So we decided we will make the higher, that is the supersonic missile. So we engaged with the Russians, and we found out a good engine available with the Russians, which was not used. They developed earlier Soviet Union, but they collapsed. They were in a very difficult situation. That time we engaged with them, and in '93, we got the engine technology from them, and then we signed the joint venture. A joint venture also with a different ratio. This is what the differential thinking, different thinking. DRDO funding is 50.5 and Russian funding is 49.5. 50.5, because of that, we are not government. 51% means government. Money is government, but we made it 50.5 purposely. Narasimha Rao appreciated that point, and he approved that when he was Prime Minister. So we made this, and we made the company, $250 million company, as a private sector. And I was made as the CEO and MD with all full powers, one-man decision, and with a board to support that. So we used our process talk. India is very good in the navigation guidance system, onboard computer, fire control system platforms, and we could make the airframe, and the Russians' support was on the propulsion. So equal partnership, joint design, joint development, manufacturing, and marketing. This is the goal. Mine to market was the thinking. Then we proceeded on that. So we designed for many platforms, a ship platform, land, submarine, silos, and then aircraft, any platform we can use the BrahMos missile. Any altitude you can take, any direct type of trajectory we can design, any type of target we can engage, any place we can launch, snow or desert or tropical. So this is the only missile in the world which can do all these things. So we have taken a lead, first of its kind in the world. We have become the world leader. And this is a missile, a ship, another ship you can see. This is with the warhead. It destroys the missile. The enemy is our own ship only. We launched against our ship to prove the missile. So it destroyed it. And here, without warhead also, we launched sheer kinetic energy, finished off a very big ship with burnt. So it's a very powerful system which is not heard of by anyone in the world. And also in the land also we have You can see the accuracy. It's the target accuracy, you can see that. So similarly, we have done it for the air also. So very accurate. So speed, we are the fastest in the world. Precision, every time we hit the target, and we are most powerful because of the kinetic energy. So you can see from air also we have done that. And the comparison, Tomahawk, America has got speed 0.8, we are 2.8 Mach number. Mach number is speed of sound. Then we can hit the target in 1/3 time. Our kinetic energy is half v squared, so we are 9 times powerful. And reaction time to the enemy is 1/3, so his defeat is sure. And every 3 seconds, a missile can go, land and sea, and interceptable, tomahawk, subsonic is undefeatable. So we are number 1 in the world. So this is the capability. Innovation can bring new capabilities to this country. The concept was, can we leapfrog mind to market brand we should establish when we thought about the program. So we established synergy, innovation, speed, precision, power, creativity, novel JV concept, one step higher than the state-of-art technology, leadership, thinking ahead, managing complexities, use all the industries, academy, research to support R&D, industry consortium, go ahead from the beginning, and the technology resources sharing with Russia, best practices we used, we built competencies, made a world-class product in a very short time, and proved to the world that India is the top first country. So it's a highly demanded product, not only by Indian 3 forces, outside people are outside, many countries are asking, but we are not giving to them, we will give one by one to them with a different missile we will give. So this is our plan. So we are now heading into hypersonics. We have done the testing, we have done one test, flight test we have done, but now we have got a lot of work to be done. So here main the technology is called scramjet propulsion, which is a new technology. It needs very high temperature materials. Thermal protection system has to be very, very sound for more than 2000 seconds we have to burn. Nobody in the world has proved it. They are claiming hypersonic technology, but about 20 to 100 seconds only they have flown, but that will not give any solution. This should be 2000. So we are also on the race with them. So it's a precision guidance in high speed is a very important technology which we have. So design all these things we have done, but only these material technologies to be yet to be done. So if you look at the now overall technology, if you look at it, we were the first people to make alloy. We were the first people to make the 5 metals investment casting, a statue of Nataraja. Before the investment casting is known to the Europe. The pillar in the Qutub Minar, 3000 years old, there's no rust. Nobody knows how they are made. That's the technology our people had. So rocket we made, this is the first rocket we made. So we were basically technology people. We were knowledge people. But we suddenly dropped ourselves and became succumbed to the Europeans. And European scientific innovations have come. We were the first to say that about the gravity 500 years before Newton. We are the first people to say the earth is round and rotates in 1,000 years before Copernicus. But our thing was not known. Only we study, even today, our students, if you ask, they will only quote Galileo, Copernicus, and then Newton only. But we have done much better than them. All the cosmology, if you see, it's more than 3,000 years old in our country. But we have strung these, the invasions put us into a very big problem. But now we have to come. World War I, II, Cold War, all have gone. Industry 4.0 has come now. Revolution, we didn't participate. Now 4.0 is an opportunity for us. We have got an opportunity in nanotechnology. So the world from Stone Age, Bronze Age, Chemical Age to now it has become knowledge age. All AI, all convergent technologies, space technology, we are doing well. Biotechnology, our youngsters are doing very well. So with this 21st century, it's going to, as the Professor Satyanarayana said, 21st century, we will be the leaders in the world. And our teaching community should adapt themselves to the new requirement. That is what is required. So what are the future technologies? Hypersonics, cyber physical systems, molecular biology, human-machine interface, space resources exploitation, Earth 2.0, we are looking at the second Earth, then transhuman technologies. So we are masters in transhuman technologies. So we want to again get into transhuman technologies. So nanotechnology, many universities are doing in the nanomaterials and the nanostructures, fabrication, and after that we have come, but we have to make the nano systems for industrially production is not taking place in our country. That's the only problem. But we have got a lot of information available on various sensors, technologies, and some of the technologies are used in We have got a very good foundry in DRDO, Indians of Science, and many other places. We must, our faculty should go there, study there, and establish a good foundry in C.V. Raman, because C.V. Raman is an inventor. So you should also invent people. People should invent, and you should protect the name of C.V. Raman. So you have to establish good facilities, good infrastructure. You must get. That is the growth opportunity. So you see, this is a student has made a program, bird. See this, there's a bird fly here. You can see the bird flying. Bird is only 19 grams. It goes to 1 kilometer at a speed of 17 kilometers per hour. It goes to enemy's territory. And real time it shows everything and comes back to us. It's only a bird. People will think a bird is flying, but the sound control is required in that, but people will not understand. See, this is nano bird, what I am talking. You can create nanospace. This is one example I am telling. So these are all like this. You should also innovate some new concepts. And if you talk about the solar energy, which is going to come in a big way, the solar energy, we are using the semiconductor silicon. But if you can align with carbon nanotubes, wherever the sun is, then this will be properly, the nanotube will properly make it to available fully to the semiconductor. So you get more energy radiated from the semiconductor and you capsulate with P3OT polymer. So you get more than 35%. From 15%, you can increase to 35% by just using a nanotechnology. So then similarly, hydrogen. Hydrogen is the future. Hydrogen fuel is the future. So a lot of research going on the fuel cell, and the future is storing. How do you store the energy? That's also hydrogen is going to come. So this is the nano applications for defense. We can have nano material for surface protection. So the rusting will not happen. See, the corrosion is a big thing in for our ships. So you can protect from corrosion using the nano material paint, nano paint. Similarly, nano smart radars, and then we have the invisibility. You can bring invisibility to the this tank, or stealth protection we can give by metametals. Then energy you can increase, very good energy you can increase. Brain computer interface, brain can be made as a chip and implanted in the brain. And helmet, which will give you the complete smart helmet, the futuristic helmet using nano sensors. Then wireless soldier, micro UAVs. This is a banyan, which you can give the details of the heart, fatigue, all details of the body parameters, telemeter to the doctor from Siachen. So this banyan is to protect our soldiers who are all there. 3,000 soldiers will be there in the border, but the doctor will be one at the bottom. So he will get all the information. This is what is developed by our double Bangalore. Then these are all the energy storing, so many things are there. So nanotechnology is going to pervade everywhere. And in the future, they say every man, woman should live up to 100 years. So that means every part should be cured. So there is a big research going on. If it is a brain related, how do we do that? A vision, a handshake. You handshake with a person, you will know what he is thinking in the future. This one. Then unbreakable bones. The new organs, bringing body waste completely. How do you dispose muscles without fatigue? Then nano nurses. You want to have a massage, nano nurses will come, and it will reduce the damages of the in the cells. Then ear protection, like flawless skin, like that. Every part is assembled, identified. So nanotechnology is creating smart materials that will replace and improve every part of the body. The powerful new sensors abilities will create a superhuman. We want a superhuman. Also, we want to go faster. We are taking 9 months to reach Mars. We are not happy with that. So the new developments are happening in the nuclear propulsion to take us faster. And the nuclear pulse Starship, which is now developed by NASA, that will take the people in 37 days to Mars. But there's another concept that's come for 3 days to Mars as a laser propulsion. So there are people are wanting to travel faster, and most probably we will break the speed of light. So that is the future. In 10 years' time, we will achieve the speed of light. So we will build big satellites called solar power satellites in the orbit, which can transmit power, desalinate water, and give good water for drinking. All these things are possible, but we have to build it in space. For that, we need the hypersonic reusable system for low-cost access to space. So Industry 4.0 is coming. This is also a very important requirement, which is going to be cyber physical systems and new technologies. There are 9 technologies are dominating in the future 4.0. So AI, autonomous robots, then big data analytics, augmented reality, additive manufacturing, cyber security, blockchain, industrial Internet of Things, horizontal material system integration, simulation. All these things have to come. Not only for the cyber physical systems, beyond cyber physical systems, we are looking at the society, looking at the entrepreneurship, or physical systems, all being looked at, so that how these new technologies which are coming out, how we can develop industry, how we can develop the society. That's what we are now looking at it. This is a very important area for our people. It's a multidisciplinary area. So it is not one department, multiple departments have to come together to do that. So ultimately, the idea is to go for genius systems. See this, when I was telling about the BrahMos, from brilliant to genius systems we have made. It can identify the target and it can hit the target, can decide its own trajectory and hit it. So the future is transhuman. How we that is a thought consciousness. How do we introduce in the system? For example, this is the dump system which we developed earlier. Now slowly we have got smart system, brilliant system, genius systems we have come. Now we are talking about like Krishna. From his mind he was operating the Sudarshan Chakra and get back at it. Like that we should decide a system. That will be the transhuman systems which are going to come in the future. So thinking also should change. We should be analytical thinking, divide complex problems into multiple solvable problems. Logical thinking, informal and formal reasoning. Value thinking, minimize waste. Value, maximize the value. Inventive thinking, ideally functions resourceful. Then systems thinking, holistic approach, exploring complexity. So everything should come for that. Use the deep learning, the system, and the thinking process also has to change. So why it has to change is only our knowledge only can make things better. This is a study we have made, actual study. If you look at your product has got specification, design, processing, production, servicing, customer feedback, and improvement. We see that there are 2 components. One is the value. The value of the product, 50% is contributed by the design. If you look at the quality of the product, 40% is contributed by the quality. 40%, design contributes 40% to the quality. So design is very important in the value and also the quality. Design, how it will come? Knowledge has to come. So knowledge dictates quality, reliability, and productivity, producibility, and cost. So this is what is very important. Unless there's a research-based institution, we cannot produce knowledge. So it is like that. You think of a developed nation, we are thinking. So we started with that. Developed nation means it should be economically strong and military power should be there. That can come only with the competitiveness. We have to be competitive with other nations. That will come only if we can make knowledge products and with the industry connect. Industry has to perform better. That will come only through advanced technologies. Advanced technologies are powered by research and innovation. Research and innovation is powered by laboratories with the faculty. So that means we need to invest on resources in the institutions. So that means we have to plan the whole thing. We should plan to have a bigger research institution. We have to innovate, we have to go for technology, then we have to be competitive in the world. So this is possible only if there is excellence in teaching. Excellence in teaching means quality. How do you measure quality and value? For that, the faculty should have competence and skill. For that, faculty should have loyalty to the institution. Then only the competence will come. So teacher-student satisfaction is the one which we have to see. That will come with the institution environment. That is powered by management, stewardship, vision. So the university should have a vision, university should have a stewardship, and university should have a good environment to generate good teachers and students who are performing better, competent, excellence in teaching to make our nation great. For all these things, we need creative leadership. So creative leadership can make the nation develop. Creative leadership has to come from university. So the university is the vital thing for excellence. That is why the topic you have chosen correctly, excellence. So if you look at the molecule, atom, proton, quarks, and strings, we are talking about that. If you take the whole universe, the universe is like this. If you take a picture of universe, it's like this. If you take a picture of brain, it's like this. The brain and universe have got same configuration inside. You take it. So have you ever wondered that maybe the universe which we live, it could be just another brain cell to a larger living being. That means the brain has got power to reach the universe. So we should think big. We should not think small. So that's why Abdul Kalam said, thinking small is a crime. So we should think big to become a great university. Your university will become great. I have no doubt about it because it is holding the name of C.V. Raman. That has to be. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I just want to check from you. Are you okay with taking some queries or shall we go?
Yeah, sure. No problem.
I would
No
request
problem.
the participants, so please come forward with your queries. You can raise your hand or can come one by one.
Or at least add a question in the chat box so that we can consolidate.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, Shahid ji. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. And namaste, sir, for the fantastic information and inputs that you have provided. My question is something very simple, sir. How have the changes that have been brought about in the Indian Ordinances Factory helped in creating more opportunities for the nation and helped in also building innovation and leadership? Thank you, sir.
See, the ordnance factories, most of them were made during the British era. And if you look at that, they were not following the safety practices. They were not doing any innovation. They were taking technologies and doing it. If you take one by one, if you take the big tanks, we are producing T90 tank, you produce Vijayanta, you produce many tanks. And nothing has been learned from that. We are getting the kits apart from Russia and we are assembling. So that is the technology level we have got. The transfer of technology which we have gone for is a very wrong method because in a hurry we have done because we have to protect ourselves. But the transfer, there's no knowledge being transferred. It's only the assembly and the drawing only they give. So we were totally cheated by the people, foreign people, who were in the name of technology, they have done that. So similarly, you take optics, you take explosives, you take anything which we have not done well in the proper way. The innovation has not come. That is why the DRDO was supporting ordnance factories. The whole Kirki and other places in Pune, you have got the HEMRL, which is making the explosives, the technology transfer taking place. That's how we know indigenous technology. Similarly, on the optics, which is Dehradun based, we are doing in that. The optics, there's an optics lab, IRD there, so they are coordinating. in CVRD near heavy vehicle factory. So we have configured the DRDO laboratories very close to ordnance factories so that this technology transfer can take place and do it. So slowly, some of the ordnance factories have done well, but because they are under government, any government institution has to go through the process of government procedure, and they are completely reviewed by CIG, finance control, all those things are there. So they have got the difficulty, and then the union activities, so many difficulties they have got for growth. So if it is a public sector, then there is some flexibility. So that is why what the government has decided. Let us, instead of having 50 laboratories like that, 50 ordnance factories, let us group them into 7 and make them responsible and make them PSUs and with a CEO who is given power. See, I have seen DGOF, the chairman of the ordnance factory. I have seen he was there for only 2 months as chairman because of the seniority. If you post a person with just based on seniority, not with the leadership, the organization will suffer. Why IGMDP is very successful? Because Professor Dr. Abdul Kalam was the leader. Why we have got a very good agriculture green revolution? Because Swaminathan was there. Varghese Kurian was there too. So leadership is also very important. Ordnance factories have not seen a good leader. That is the reason for that. Now, once you separate it, now they are independent. 7 independent groups. So they will have to think about the leadership, and leadership should be consistent. 5 years, that person should lead with a vision. Then only they can really produce. We have failed in CSIR. Many labs are not doing well. Ordnance factories are not doing well. There are many things not doing well, but we have to correct. We cannot, we cannot sit in a place and we should not. We should forget about it and we should modify. We should change the system.
Yes, thank you. Sir, there is one more query from Naik ji. Yeah, Naik ji, please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir. It is great honor to me to ask a small question, sir. So, how we are managing our ecosystem in the ISRO to targeting all these defense systems?
Targeting all the?
How to we are managing our ecosystem?
Targeting what? Final word. Targeting?
For all this defense and Navy, Indian Army and Air Force. Is it any?
No, there are, please see. We have got 2 groups. One group looking at the peaceful uses of space, that is ISRO. There is another group, DRDO, which is looking at the defense requirement. There are 2 separate groups. Okay. When they have developed the technology for a satellite, they can also make military satellite. But they are not operating the military satellite. That is done by a separate group. So we will use the launch vehicle for a military satellite. We may use it. But similarly, you take DRDO, all weapons, everything is developed by DRDO. All systems are developed by DRDO, not by ISRO. ISRO is doing only launch vehicle, satellites, application of satellites to the people. That is the main thing. And they have got the ground network, everything is there that they are doing. They have got a mission to achieve, and now they have gone global. DRDO has got all the weapons, all the gadgets required, all the sensors, everything has to be developed for the military. That is what they are doing. So these are different. The ecosystem has been made very clearly that the division of work has been identified between 2 organizations.
So thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your answer, sir. So I could tell you that I have never seen such a comprehensive PPT by any person. So it's totally, we can say, I am totally amazed to see the kind of comprehension you have given. And it's a food for thought for all the participants here. Those are already on some, we can say, they are leading in some sort of way, or maybe they're becoming a future leader. And you have given a right foundation. Your one slide of creative leadership for institution excellence has set the platform for this whole 5-day program, sir. We are going to just take a round on that particular slide. That will enough for us to cover in this 5 days of session. Fantastic to hear you, sir. And before I we cannot thank enough for your time, sir. We will just about to formally close this. You please be with us for next 10 minutes more, sir. and that will be honored. And I would request, I think Professor P. Kanungo sir, our Dean Engineering, to please share some views here. Sir.
Thank
Can
you.
I just take
Yeah,
1
yeah,
minute,
please.
one sentence,
Please,
Dr.
please,
Kananga,
sir.
just a second.
Please, please.
No, I once again just want to say thank you to Professor Sivadanu Pillai for accepting at such short notice. And because we didn't even want to disturb him, so we did not call or send multiple notice, but just send one email, and he was kind enough. As soon as he came back in the middle of the night, he sent a confirmation saying, so when he said he meant it to enable teachers, I mean, it's truly from a heart. I mean, that's a leader. I mean, seeing how do we transform a nation, and we are exceptionally happy to have you here, sir. And as Dr. Gopalia mentioned, it's truly wonderful. I mean, the whole overview of the FDP is already given here. If somebody had just listened fully, even if they missed the whole remaining 5 days, they have got because every slide had specific points of leadership as much as it was talking of innovation and cutting edge technology and state of art review, because each slide was a state of art review. Each slide was also equally talking about the facets of leadership that goes into it. So thank you once again, sir, for your kind consent and also this wonderful overview. And we look forward to having you in future in the campus. But I just want to add one other a small sentence that we are happy to say we have created 25 centers for future skills. So whether you want to do advanced manufacturing, whether you want sensors to be made with a printed flexible electronic circuit on PCB, or whether we want to do high performance computing to analytics, or even doing mechatronics to drones and their integrated structural health monitoring, actually we have created standalone centers. Now, as a university, we are trying to integrate them with system and design thinking, as you rightly mentioned, put them as a process in our academic system. So whether it could be economics, commerce, engineering, medical, agriculture to, say mathematics, science, physics, how they can all work seamlessly together for system integration. And your PPT has, again, I think, given a huge inspiration to our faculty, especially you're emphasizing on the faculty's skill and competence to go with knowledge, because that is what we have created provision for skill, now making it into competence and linking with knowledge to create experiential learning enabled competence for inquisitiveness or innovation research has to happen. And I am absolutely sure, your talk is truly an eye-opener for all of us. So thank you very much. Professor Kanungo, sorry for interrupting.
No, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Honorable Chief Guest, Professor S. Sivadanu Pillai, Honorable Vice Chancellor, CGU Odisha, Professor B.S. Satyanarayana, esteemed resource persons, Registrar of CGU, Dr. Vinita Panda, Head of Department of Mechanical Engineering and Program Coordinator, Professor Manoj Kumar Gopalia, Head of School of Management and Program Coordinator, Professor Sanjita Lenka, Deans, Heads of the Departments, distinguished guests, participants, my fellow colleagues of CGU Odisha, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. Wish you all a happy and prosperous New Year. On behalf of...
I forgot to wish all of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Wish
you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm really thankful to our chief guest for his powerful word and motivational talk, and for good words for our university to lead as a leader in globally. And on behalf of the CGU Odisha, I welcome all of you to this inaugural ceremony of 6-day Atal Faculty Development Program. That is leadership and excellence, a need in the era of disruptive transformation. From 3rd to 7th, today to 7th of January 2022. I am humbled and honored to introduce our university to all esteemed guests and participants of this program. The journey of C.V. Raman Global University started from the year 1997 in the name of C.V. Raman College of Engineering. And since its inception, it was devoted to quality and constantly remained committed to bringing about rapid transformation in the field of technical education by imparting high quality education and training through its highly experienced, well-qualified and stable faculty, well-equipped smart classrooms, world-class labs, and unbeatable center of excellences. These are some of the shining feathers in the crown of C.V. Raman College of Engineering, which helped the institute grow into C.V. Raman Global University in the year 2020, last year. So the Faculty of Engineering is the oldest faculty of CGU Odisha, There are 7 departments offering 20 UG programs and 14 PG and PhD programs starting from computer science to marine engineering. And our students are well exposed to the latest technology and cutting edge skills through our 25 Center of Excellence, which already our Vice Chancellor mentioned. Our curriculum is designed to embed the 21st century skills through experiential learning, exposure to cutting edge skills and multidisciplinary projects. It is our pride to say that we are the first university to win the gold medal for India in WorldSkill 2019 in Kazan, Russia. And this year, 30 students selected for national level skill competition in 21 different skills. And it will start from this 7th of January. Our engineering programs are accredited by NAAC and NBA. We are among the top 100 NIRF ranking institutes since 2016. This is the only university in the state of Odisha offering UG and PG program in marine engineering. Although this university is newly born, it takes pride in its rich heritage, aiming to improve the scholastic ability and effectiveness of the quality education system across the globe. The university is committed to expanding the scope of the existing department and also to open new ones to deliver multi and interdisciplinary courses by accelerating the present sectorial focus of its mother institute. And learning on learning and relearning is one of the best practices of our university, which empower the faculties with new skills and knowledge through different thrust and cutting edge technology. Apart from other FDP program, in the last academic year, CG Odisha conducted 5 ATAL FDP, and in this current academic year, this is the 4th ATAL FDP. We are thankful to our visionary leader, Honorable Founder President of CGU, Sri Sanjeev Kumar Raut, and Vice President Srimati Shailaja Raut, and Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor B.S. Satyanarayana for constantly encouraging and supporting the faculty members by providing technical and financial support to train the trainers. I express my sincere thanks to AICT for financial support to organize such an interdisciplinary thrust area ATAL FDP for faculties, industry people, and research scholars. I am very happy to express my thanks to Professor Manoj Gopalia, Head of Department of Mechanical Engineering, and Professor Sanjita Lenka, Head School of Management, for their leadership in organizing different FDP and workshops in department looking into the need of the hour. Once again, I congratulate the coordinators and organizing committee for their efforts in organizing this FDP. I am confident that this program will be a fruitful event for all participants. I wish the program a grand success. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Gopalia, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sir, as we all know, this program is jointly organized by Department of Mechanical Engineering and Management Studies. I would request my coordinator, HUD, Dr. Sanjita Lenka, to please come in and share some views. Ma'am. Ma'am, are you here with us?
Is there a link problem?
Maybe
we're all disconnected or something.
Yeah.
No issues. So, sir, before we formally close, I would like to once again thank our chief guest, Dr. H. Pillai, sir. Sir, it's an honor to hear you, sir. For last 45 minutes, it was something which we are going to cherish for our whole life. Fantastic to be here. And I would also thank the AICT ATAL Academy to sponsor this program. I would also thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor B.S. Satyanarayanan, Dean Professor Kanungo, all the deans, HODs, faculty members for sparing their valuable time for this inaugural ceremony. I'm also thankful to the participant to be here. I could see some feedbacks are coming in regarding attendance. I'm here to solve out that. So thank you once again, and I wish you all the luck for this 5 days of learning, sir. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let us have a screen shot, or please.
Please, everybody, can you turn on your screen images, please?
All of you to please switch on the video so that we can
take a screenshot. It will be
yeah. And I would request my co-coordinators to kindly take the screenshots here.
So thank you very much for all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
It's truly our privilege and pleasure, sir.
Privilege and pleasure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. sir.
So I will visit the university and personally.
Definitely, we look forward to that opportunity, sir. We'll get back to you, and at your convenience, have one of our programs where we can have it, and you will also have, give us more directions as to how we can move forward as a
Yeah,
unit.
I can also discuss the research, possible research proposals.
Oh, we'll be very happy. I mean, right, for example, you mentioned, just sorry, 1 second, Professor Gopalia. Yeah, yes, you're taking your pictures. I mean, we are happy to say that, see, for example, we have developed process equipments to make carbon-based nanomaterials from room temperature, from amorphous to fibers to nanomaterials and nanoclusters. And they can even be tuned over 11 orders of conductivity to do sensors and technology on glass, paper, plastic for use and throw sensor. And so most of our equipments are locally built so that it can be scaled up for production. So we hope we'll be able to get guidance from you to do some of this and take our research forwards.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I would request participants to be here, and all other dignitaries can please take a leave, sir.
Thank you.
We are honored to have you. We are honored to have you all. Thank
I will
you.
leave. I will sign off.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I could see some feedback regarding attendance link. I just going to check it because I could see 31 of you have already filled the attendance.
Dr. Sanjita Linka has just, I think her link has been okay now.
Okay,
She's
okay.
back.
Ma'am,
Anyway,
if
she
you
can
want to
share a
say
few
something,
words.
ma'am, it will be honored to hear you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you, sir. I am thankful to Manoj Gopalia, sir, for providing me an opportunity to speak a few lines. And also at the same time, I'm thankful to our VC, CG Odisha, Dr. Professor V.S. Satyanarayan, sir. So when we talk about the leadership excellence, that is most appropriate in the management scenario. And regarding the explanation of the title, whether it is of management or it is science or engineering, everywhere. So I would say that each leader has their own potential to become better and more successful. So leader excellence means being on the road towards what is better, more successful. So this requires the leader to be committed to development and improvement and to more aware of them. So when we talk about leadership, it is just a quality of a leader that can be shown by his or her personality. So regarding the department, I would say that this Department of Business Management is offering 2 years MBA program. It was established in the year 2007. The program is approved by AICTE, Ministry of HRD, Government of India, New Delhi. With the capacity with the approval of 60 students, the program is designed with the objective of making the students corporate ready by equipping them with the holistic view of the business environment. And this time we have opened up with a new program that is known as Bachelor in Healthcare Administration, which is having a tie-up with the Columbia Asia Hospital, Bangalore, Karnataka. And it is a 3 years bachelor program like our BBA program. So I hope that more of the students would enroll for this program, because we are offering this program is stipend based, means at the end of the year of the BBA program, they would get a stipend from the Asia Columbia Hospital. So thank you, our president, sir, for enrolling such a different kind of programs in our university. So thank you all the participants, because this time it is going to increase also 100. So thankful. I'm hoping for the best, and we are expecting much of your cooperation and participation during this 5 days of Atal FDPs. So thank you all of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your words here. So, ma'am, we will be in touch for next 5 days, and we will be taking your help whenever needed during this whole 5 days. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you for spending your
Definitely.
time. And for participants, we will be meeting again at 12 sharp for our session 2 of day 1. So please be there. The same link will work for next 5 days. So there will not be an issue. If someone is someone is saying that there is an issue regarding the attendance link, they can please come on screen and we can have a word here. Because I could already see 46 have already punched the attendance. So there should not be any issue to the link. So if anyone is having any specific issue, you can please come in and talk to me. I will try to solve it.
Manoj sir, just 1 second. I think one
Yeah.
which you have shared, no, I have reshared actually without your consent because most of people may not be aware like. So probably
Okay.
that link they might have clicked. Because
Oh.
of that, it may be showing. I just posted that you please refer one which is shared by Dr. Manoj.
Okay. And I also reshared it twice just after having that feedback. So please use that. And I could see you should not face any problem. Simple Google form. I could see you take your time. I'm here for that. And those who already face problem, if you wish, I can take the names here. Now it's working. I could see the feedback. Thank you. So we'll meet again at 12, and we are here to help you. We try to make it a pleasant experience to all of you. Just focus on your learning, attendance, examination, all will be taken care. But we want you to participate in this session, interact with the expert, and try to enrich the whole session here. This is not a typical talking talk type of FDP. It is more to learn from both sides. So we expect all the senior people who will be part of this FDP to interact during those program and all. Thank you so much. We'll meet again at 12 sharp. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.